And I don't really work to the albums particularly. It's not like I'm trying to recreate the albums then. No, I recreate Metallica.
Tonight, do you feel alive? Oh, I love that sound. Do you feel alive?
So here we are, Hamburg, Thomas. Very nice too. Don't know about the building. Dubious. Barclay Card Arena, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, perhaps they need to spend some money on some acoustic damping. They got enough of it. Yeah, here we are in the round again. Metallica's yet another offering of In the Round, which is all we seem to do now. And this time it's a Mayer Leo system. Huge amount of system. Hopefully giving us the coverage that we need. We've done some slightly different things this time. Before, we would have done really deep hangs of probably 18 deep in order to be able to bend the system to hit the high seats and the low seats. But Bob McCarthy, who designed this, came up with this plot of using like an upper and lower bowl scenario, where we have a system focused predominantly in the lower portion, and then we put another system above, which we would sort of call delays, I guess, and they cover the upper level, which kind of takes the weight away from the middle. Because a big problem of this with this system is weight. Those things, the big square cube things that fly up and down, amazing. 4 screens in a cube with a moving light underneath, and I think each one of them weighs about 1,200 pounds. So, and there's 52 of those. So there's a lot of weight. So unfortunately our TM array had to leave the building because of we couldn't put 7 tons in the middle above the drummer. So we moved off to the sides with the subs, and Bob said, let's do end fire. And that's what we did. We staggered the end fire, so it gives us some downforce to cover the floor, because we have no subs on the ground. Because the stage is so low, we couldn't really fit any subs effectively around there. So that's my story anyway. The reality of it is James didn't like his feet vibrating, and I had to get rid of 36 1100s. But I must admit, the stage is like a table tennis table, so as you fire up a load of subs underneath, it was lifting the decks. It was quite impressive actually. I went up there and had my feet go numb too. And like James said, he goes, I can't walk around here for 2 hours every night for years on end because feet go numb. And you could hear it modulating his voice and everything. And even though we tried noise cancellation, we cardioid obviously, we tried all sorts of weird timing things, couldn't shut them up. The second they came on, the whole stage started to move. So we got rid of them, unfortunately. So I lost 36 1100s Saturday. But we still have 36 in the air, which is like, as I said, we stagger them, end fire. We're trying something different in this place. If you look on the sides, we've got some flat walls of subs. We're getting ready for the American tour, and of course the floors with the ice hockey dashes and stuff, it's very difficult to fly when you start getting over the seats and stuff. So we've kind of used this, we're giving this a go to see if we can do them flat and fly against the dasher. So we have to constantly play with it from different venues. The weight is the huge thing. The brief was we had to get out the middle of the building. Literally, we couldn't hang anything in the centre of the room, so everything had to radiate out. So, like I said, the TM array went, and we just migrated away from the centre. I mean, the show's so heavy anyway, it made it difficult. So, yeah, design-wise, very challenging, but Bob came through, bless him, fantastic. And Mayer, of course, always giving us the support that we need. Those guys really look after us. 1 second. There you go. Just get rid of the diversion. It's probably a megawatt, I would think. I mean, it has to be. I mean, you know, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's kind of, Mayer don't really do it in watts, do they? You know what I mean? It's like it's all balanced and it all works very well. To actually say what wattage is this actual thing, they never really publicise that. So, but I would say we have to be over a megawatt, I would think, because there's so much of it. You know, and then if you add our VLFCs, which are our super subs, which you can see right here and right there, they're not on for the show, for music. They're not for music. They're for our sound effects, for explosions and pyro cues that we do for the surround sound one thing. That's like an LFE track, if you like, and we feed it from a multi-channel Joko machine, and one of the tracks is divvied up to be enhanced for the sub package. So we just press play and the system fires up in the round. And we move it around. I'm actually mixing, I guess, pseudo stereo on this. I'm not full panned, because you can't do that because of the fact people are sitting in different parts of the noise field. But I am actually working in stereo, so we do go left, right, left, right, left, right, all the way around. And so we move it off the centre, so to speak. And it's nice. In the past, with other designs, I've got mono straight down the middle, because there's been so many people can only hear one hang. But in this environment, people do tend to get a good stereo image. Pretty much, I would say, 80 to 90% of the venue, I would think. There's always going to be people who are on axis with a hang that you can't do anything about, you know. So we are sort of in stereo. It's all ears, and there's wedges as well. There's a lot of floor wedge positions. The monitor guys have to follow them around pretty heavily, you know, giving it way more. But the ears keep the consistency, you know. It came about from when the band played the Antarctic, and because everything had to go ashore on a little Zodiac rubber dinghy thing, you couldn't take 4x12s and big amp racks and stuff. So the vibe was, let's get the fractal thing. And I was a bit anti when I heard it at first, but it hadn't been modelled at that point. I just heard like a stock fractal heavy metal guitar patch, and it sounded just horrible. Well, when we decided to go that way, we actually modelled James's sound into it. Fractal guys came to the studio and worked with the band. And I got to be honest, we've not looked back since everything's fractal. Everything, all the clean sounds, everything. We don't know JC120, no nothing. It's all fractal, except I think there is, God, I forgot what the other one's called. There's another emulator as well we use. But the bottom line of it is, you don't have microphones moving, you don't suffer with humidity in the boxes you don't have people sitting on the ISO chambers, kicking the feet against the side, and you can hear bump, bump, bump through the PA, and you're like, what's that? And you go, and somebody goes and looks, and it's somebody sitting on the box, banging the feet, and it's like, oh shit. Because we've left them in the trucks in the past and just run cables out to them, you know. So you got the ISO box with a 4x12, all the mics built in, just run long mic leads out, don't even take them off the truck. But of course it's vulnerable then. But we basically got rid of probably half a truck full of flight cases and amp racks and everything. And the modelling of the fractals, it's really good. I mean, I wanted to hate them, because I'd worked for many, many years in getting the guitar sound together with all the different microphones, and then all of a sudden it's going to be abandoned, and we're suddenly going to go with this 19-inch rack piece. I was quite insulted at first, but then when I realised that we weren't actually going to lose what we already had, we were just going to remodel it and deliver it in a different way. And you're like, wow, okay, and it was always the same. The knobs didn't get knocked, the backline guys don't mess with it all the time. It's there, and it's always recallable. And as we go between different systems, we can just blow the patch, and we're back in business. So, and it's cut the backline down to next to nothing. So when we have to air freight, it's financially practical. So it worked out to be a great thing, and I like the reliability of them. You know, you push them up every day, and it's the same thing again. We've been toying with going AES from them into an AES card on the Midas system. I don't know if that's a bridge too far for me. I still like to have a mic pre, you know what I mean? I have something to mess with. So, I don't know. We'll see where that goes. But I am quite impressed. Even the bass guitars, fractal, everything.
Cool. Is there something you have to do then differently
No.
on the desk? Or
No.
use different compressors? to
No,
get it
no.
like
Well, I don't
happy?
compress guitars. That doesn't really work very well. Tonally, it comes at me pretty much like the ISO chambers used to. I didn't see much difference once we worked out the gain stage and where the actual level coming off the fractals was to us. Same old, same business. And because we did it in the same way, for James there's a boogie sound, and what's the other one called? Jesus, I tell you, my memory's terrible. Diesel, yeah, the Diesel. He had a Mesa Boogie and a Diesel. So we programmed the fractals to give us the same thing. We had the Mesa Boogie mix and we had the Diesel mix, and then I blend the two together. So the fractals did the same as the microphones, basically. And it works, so it's a bit of a no-brainer, really. And I don't treat them anyway. Like you said, do I treat them any differently? No. You just EQ them the same way as you would the microphones. They're a little more stable, a little less susceptible to environmental changes like microphones. You get to high humidity places and high temperature, it gets hot in the ISO box, and you get all sorts of things. Power for the amplifiers, sagging because the generator's a bit crap. Lots of things used to affect the guitar tone. Less affected now because of the fractal. So I'm pleased with them, I'm impressed. The vocal mics, we had a change. I mean, it was always Audio Technica vocal mics because I just loved our crisp and nice Audio Technica microphones sound. Unfortunately, they don't really look the way that James wanted them to look, and I get it. So we are Shure ES55s, and they really are ES55s. They're not like, oh, it's an ES55 body with an Audio Technica capsule. It was at the start, because I asked Audio Technica to modify one for me, and fair play to them. As much as it wasn't in their interest to make a 55 sound really good, they did make me one. And I tried it, and it did work. It sounded very good. But didn't quite work the way it should, because the breathing of the capsule in the body and all that wasn't quite as organised as Audio Technica would for their own range. So, no, we thought we'd go, and in all fairness, it's a good job we did, because we have I think we have 150 of those ES55s across various different systems, and they break down. They get rained on when we're doing festivals or when we're out doing the outdoor stadium thing we do. We've had them all sitting in the rain, getting soaking wet, and it kills them. So we have to get new ones or get them refurbished. So we have a pretty big stock of microphones. And if that was going to be all modified microphones, it's a lot of hard work for somebody. And I don't think the condenser capsule would have survived as well as the old dynamic. I'm sure it's a 58 capsule in a square box. That's the reality of it, I think. So they do take a bit of a beating, but eventually they do die. We found the high end goes off them over a period of time. So when we have, I EQ all the vocals as one EQ through a subgroup, because there's 8 of them around that stage, plus about 4 others. We have about 12 vocal mics. Now, I'm not going to go through each one and try to EQ each one to sound the same as the next one. I do a global EQ and push them all through that. So the problem with that is, of course, if one of them starts to go a bit dull, then it comes up as being dull because you're not EQing it individually. So we have to keep them all pristine and keep them all sitting there, all working to their optimum, So it takes a lot of microphones. So that's the 55s for the vocals. The drum kit changed a little bit. When we did the movie people wanted, I didn't particularly agree, but they wanted a little bit more crispness in the high end on the overheads and stuff. And so we changed to DPA 4099s for all the overheads. And we used DPA 4099s for the tom-toms as well. We still use a side fire condenser AT on the hi-hat, and on the 2 on the snare, and an AT dynamic on the snare, an old AT23, which they no longer make, but they're pretty bulletproof, so They look pretty beaten, but stick marks all over them. But they still all work. So we have a small shipping order of those about. And that pretty much covers it, really. There's so fewer microphones now. You know, because since the fractals, it's like no guitar mics at all, no 2500s, you know, no 4050s, no nothing. Just a load of 55 Shuers and DPA and a few ATs. No, nothing's changed. It's still a digital XL4. It's set up like an XL4. All right, it's the XL8. Just looks, it is an XL4 to me. Sounds fantastic. We pretty much use all of it now. It's amazing, stuff just keeps coming and we just keep plugging it in and away we go and away we go. In the stadium tour in America we had 2 drum kits. We have a load of percussion type drum things now we have to use. So we've pretty much filled every channel at some point, you know. So no, still loving it. My approach to the band, I don't think it's changed. I think I adopt different ways of modelling what I'm trying to achieve, only with experience and always trying new things, trying to make it better. Always have to keep trying to make it better. No, I think what you're confusing out is when I used to gate the subs and key it off a kick drum and use the range on the gate to allow a certain amount of sub to pass all the time to keep the bass guitar full. But then when the kick drum hit, it opened the gate on the subs and gave the subs full volume, so you got a bigger kick drum, and that made the sub package sound nice and tight. I don't do any of those sort of things here. That was a different time. I was going for the, I don't know, ultimate input plot, I guess. I wanted each input to be absolutely the biggest it could be. You know what I mean? Maybe that's changed a little bit. I think I'm looking more for an overall picture now than the making each individual thing be what it is. I don't know. I do things when it's necessary, really. I mean, the kick gate thing, it probably would be useful. It would be useful in this venue. I mean, I don't know what the reputation is of this venue, this Barclay Hamburg Arena. I wouldn't think it's that good. This place just has a bit of a horribleness in the low end. Well, yeah, and they want the crowd to roar, so they want the noise to be loud. Probably needs a bit of roof treatment in here because of all the corrugated tin sheet, but something's, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I've got the noise police around. That's kind of interesting. Different, I've never had them do what they've done this time. The guy has a microphone hanging in front of the PA within 1 metre to get him a volume, to give him a positive K value, apparently. And then he's been around measuring volumes all over the place, and it's 99 dB A-weighted over 30-minute LEQ at the loudest point. But of course I have to know what that relates to me here actually with my fingers on the faders. So he's gone away right now to go to look at his measurement equipment. He's going to come back and give me a number that I have his laptop here that we can do to, you know, I don't know what it's going to be. Let's wait and see, I guess. It's the first time I've had them do that.
Okay, yeah.
I've not had that before. I mean, I've had them come and say, you know, 100 LEQ 30 at front of house. The problem I think we run into with some of these things is these people are not used to it in the round show. They're used to the stage being at one end, the guy being 2/3 down the hall, and that's it. They're not used to this kind of environment. This is completely alien. So I'm like, well, where are you going to measure for your loudest point? You've got a lot of points. So, well, we'll see. He's going to give me all his raw data so I can have a look. Because I'm intrigued as well, you know. We've done our measurements to try and balance how hard the system drives at the top for the longer distance versus the middle bit shorter and shorter again. So we tailor, shade the gains to try and give us an even coverage. In fact, the man has come back. Do you have a number for us?
A number? A phone number?
Yeah, we can have a phone number, that works.
You can call me about the arena.
No, the
Okay.
waiting.
It's, as I told you, 99 there.
Okay,
Already,
it's already in there.
yeah.
You got to play nice with the noise. Play nice with the noise, please, because they'll get you.
Absolutely.
I actually think that the whole thing's changing. I think that we're going to have a lot more of this. I think gone are the days where you can just go and randomly crush people however you feel fit, because it's not going to be allowed. Unless you're in South America maybe, or places off the beaten track. That's the only time you're going to be able to put the stick to it. Any other countries, we're going to, this 99 dB or 100 dB, Switzerland's been doing it forever, and I think everybody's going to catch on, and I think it's going to become the thing. We had a thing out with us called Mix Halo. We're still playing with it, and it's you put up a Wi-Fi network and you transmit to, like, they're not iPhones, they're like an iPod kind of thing, and it's got a Wi-Fi receiver in it, and you transmit to it. And we were sending it the board mix with ambience that we have. We also sent it all the in-ear mixes, so people got the app with the earplugs plugged in. They could go through the different mixes and listen to what James is listening to, what Lars is listening to. And this is a company called Mix Halo, and we were doing quite a lot of messing with this thing. We, ambience, more ambience, less ambience. I mean, sending it the left and right. That would normally go to megawatt of PA to some earbuds. We had to do a bit of tailoring of the EQ. I mean, there's not as much low end in the left and right signal as you would think, because the system is so active down there. So, it's it's a balancing act. So of course, but then when you break out of that and all of a sudden you're sending it to in-ear buds, this is a different thing now. So we had to tailor some things and do some different bits and pieces. Very interesting. I listened to it. I wasn't convinced particularly. I didn't think it was bad. But I do wonder whether it's the sign of the times that there will be no speaker system eventually, and everybody will just literally have in-ear buds. And it'll just be transmitted, and maybe you'll have a few subs to give it some feel, some concussion. But so far as having complete arrays, I don't think it'll happen. I think they'll be gone, speakers. And then of course when you do festivals, it's just a case, it's 80,000 people, okay, you need 80,000 earbud setups, you just keep adding the earbud. And I think you'll have big companies like Sony and all the other manufacturers will do the concert series earbuds. Maybe Skull Crusher will do, the Ear Candy Posse will do, well, they did headphones with thumpers in, so maybe it'll be that kind of thing. I think I don't like the idea of it particularly. I like a speaker, but I think when the noise police really come on top, you're going to have to hand the volume control to the individual person in the audience and go, have it as loud as you want it to be. Here's your volume, here's your thing, pick the volume. And I think we might go there. I don't think in my lifetime. I think I'll be well retired by the time that starts. But I could see the future being that. I really can. I really like Hardwired. I think there's some fantastic songs and riffs. I think the riffs are just massive. James has really pulled the one out of the bag. But I also like Death Magnetic. I thought that had a real anger and kind of rawness about it. Each one of their albums, they reinvent themselves. I guess that's why they had the longevity. You're talking of so many years now. There's a lot of bands been huge bands and they've gone by now. They've come in, done the thing, been successful, and then you never hear of them again. Metallica's just gone on and on and on all the way through. It's pretty unbelievable, really. But I think it's because they're willing to take chances musically, and I think they'll do whatever they feel. And this Hardwired one, I think it's fantastic songs, good songs. It's really fun to engineer the new songs. It really is. I guess they're a little more mature. The songs are a little more matured. There's a different vibe about them. They execute them differently. They've learned the craft well, and it's accumulation of 36 years for those guys, and it's 34 for me, I guess. But because we've evolved together, I think, they never really surprise me. I always sort of know. And I'm never doubtful as to which way to go with it or how to mix it. I never have a like, oh, how do I do that? You know what I mean? And I don't really work to the albums particularly. It's not like I'm trying to recreate the album sound. No, I recreate Metallica. And that's my impression of Metallica derived from pretty much when they started. Just like all the fans, I'm a fan of the band, like this sort of thing, I guess, from that angle. You know, I've learnt that, appreciated them for all the years. And the way I mix them now is the way I feel now about the songs. It's like a little bit like the way they would feel, I guess. They've matured, so have I, you know.
If you want to live forever, first you must